We won't be like Coast to Coast. It was kind of funny. Art Bell was hosting it, and he kind of guilted him into to only staying and talking to him for 2 freaking hours. I mean, the guy made 2 hours of his life to come talk to you on your radio show. And he's like, well, I guess he's got something to do. Well, yeah, we all do, man. I thought that was kind of funny. But Dr. Lanza has written a new book, apparently, called Biocentrism. And the basic principle of biocentrism is simply this. And this is, I want everybody to hang with this. And sorry to interject with this one more time here, but there's a lot of people out there who think they're not smart enough to follow this. I'm not either. So I've had to find ways to explain it to myself after getting the information from the beings that I work with. So I'm really good at explaining this in everyday common sense, normal folk type of words. Like I said, my problem is I don't have the background vocabulary even to know what to label things. So hopefully someone will, because if I were to write a thesis on this, everybody in science would look at it like, he's talking about the inner core of gratitude and the 9635 turbulence wire, or whatever the hell, and I'm talking about it like it's a dog in the room. But please hang with this, because this is really important stuff, guys. Now, Dr. Robert Lanza is a brilliant man, but he's still a scientist. And scientists, their problem right now, and I learned this from talking to Eek a little bit, is they're at a turning point. And the fact of the matter is, what science did not equate for almost all along, Einstein did a little bit. But what they didn't equate for was outside influences on our world. They looked at our world as though it was in a bubble, and it is not. And some of the old rules that they have come to with that may still apply. My own personal opinion is the sad reality for scientists right now, guys, you've got to start at a clean slate. I can't imagine how monumentally frustrating that would be. Especially to the older scientists who've been slaving away at this for 30 years. They're very intelligent people. But you guys left a very important piece out. You didn't account for outside influences, and they are there big time. Intelligent outside influences. No one ever put that into any formula. And it's so important. This is what the religious people get. That said, they don't get the science end of things. But this is what you guys have been bickering about forever now. And so before I really go into this, I want to point that out and point out how damn stupid that is. And everybody in either one of those camps who has not been talking to the other camp and taking them seriously and thinking about what they have to say and trying to make sense of it, even if you don't agree with it, that's fine. But no one's, almost no one's a complete freaking idiot. Almost nobody. And you guys should have been working together. Right? Because you're going to find that if you would have, you guys would have been right and figured this out a long time ago. But yet you view each other as enemies. And this is just sort of a message that we can use every day now. I think we're in the middle, I know we're in the middle of a rapid period of human evolution. And this is one tiny little thing that we need to start doing, that everybody can start doing this moment. And that's work together. Together. With the flow, everybody. With it. There's no freaking need for us to keep swimming upstream and punching each other in the face as we go. Because that's what we've been doing. And that's why everything that we do has ended up pretty much wrong up until now. So maybe everybody listening to the show, I mean, can we find that level of common ground that let's start freaking working together instead of against each other? Everybody listening, put your hand up. Seriously, right now, physically, put your hand up if you're in agreement with that. I got my hand up. I think it makes more sense to work together than against each other. Because you know what? None of us know it all. And I had a lot of pieces to this puzzle that I didn't talk about because I don't have a PhD. I'm a doctor now. I called myself one. The international community is going to hate that, by the way. The freaking Americans. Yeah, that's what we do. I've got a new accrediting service. If you want to be a doctor, seriously, email me. But no, in all sincerity, I don't have the PhD, so nobody in the freaking science community will listen to me. And I have the same issue with religious folks for the most part. I don't believe every word of the Bible at all. Therefore, I'm the enemy. No. Trying to bring you all together. Come on, guys, together. Work together. Come on, seriously. So anyway, just try to use this little trick with your brain to make this a habit of yours. Each morning, at whatever point you remember this very basic thing that we're going to try to work together as opposed to against each other now, just make a mental note and say, today, I'm going to work with people and not against them. Just see what happens in your life. I'll bet you'll learn a lot. I'll bet you become a lot smarter. I'll bet you stuff gets done. All right, so here's Dr. Robert Lanza's theory. And he's right. The only freaking problem is he's just not looking at it quite correctly, but damn, is he close. I was listening to this whole interview, him going back and forth with Art Bell on Coast to Coast, just waiting for them to get it. At the end, they almost did. And I thought, oh crap, I was going to talk about it on the radio show and be the first one to put it together. Yeah, I'm sure many other people have been, and probably not listened to, but work together, guys, work together. Everybody gets so set thinking that what they know is right that they can't see anything else. And that's actually what Dr. Robert Lanza's study is. And within that interview, he began to fall on that himself. That was ironically what kept him from truly getting, I think, the big picture that takes us back and explains how the Big Bang happened. The specifics of it are very interesting and something we need to start looking into, but it's there. All right, Lanza's theory, I'm assuming he coined this term. That may not be correct. Like I said, I'm just a normal guy. I'd never heard of this before I read the interview, but it's biocentrism. And what he says is that every single particle, which is the lowest form of matter that you have, is not there until someone observes it. Okay? So nothing exists until someone looks at it. Now this opens up a lot of questions. And I've known this to be true. This is something they've been telling me for a long time, they being the angels. The group of aliens I work with. Alien means everything in the universe that's not on Earth. So, what a horrible term, right? Little vague. Just, They've been telling me this. And this is largely why I don't get into the side of things that I view as quote-unquote bad. That said, good versus evil is entirely relative. What's good to me may be bad to you. And that fits in here too. But it means when you think about something, you actually make it real, which has incredible implications. And I'm going to hold off on my 2 cents here and go with a little bit more of Lanza's theory so you guys can see where he's coming from, because I think it lays some good groundwork, and then I'm going to add to it. How freaking pretentious of me, right? With no physics training whatsoever. So I hope scientists know that this was I think figured this out and thought, how am I going to say this? How are these people going to take me seriously? I'm going to ask you kindly to hear me out and try to prove it. That's your guys' job. But yeah, I'm not trying to be pretentious. It makes sense. So there's his base theory. He says that no single particle, which is the smallest thing that we're aware of, I'm sure there are much smaller out there, but none of it exists until it's observed. What this means is we create our own reality. Now, this also goes into where his theory falls short a little bit in some very obvious ways that I can't believe he didn't think of. But this has been tested with a lot of theories with consciousness. When they have a whole bunch of people think of the same thing, we'll see if it happens. There's a whole bunch of experiments out there with this, and they all are very conclusive. He says there's hundreds of physics experiments out there. He didn't go into any detail on them. I have a really hard time thinking that he'd write an entire book and go out that boldly on a national radio show if it was BS, so I'm going to take his word on it. Having them explain it to me, I believe it already, so that's just my personality. I know there's a lot more. I'm a Gemini, so the tangible stuff doesn't do a lot for me, and I know for a lot of people it does, but that's largely the problem with science, though, is not everything is tangible, including reality. Now, something Lanza really tried to drive home to everybody was saying that space and time themselves are not real, which he's right there. He's right, and I didn't really follow him at first, but if you fall back on his theory that nothing is real until it's observed, which is a hard thing to wrap your mind around. Nothing's real till something looks at it.